This is my fine art A2 exam sketchbook, and I started off by creating a small mind map revolving around our given topic of combination alliances. I looked at a few different things to do with culture, new vs old, techniques and society, but the one I liked the best I came up with was the combination alliance between different medias, and have chosen to do an alliance between photography and art put together into one. At the beginning of the year we started off using prints, and I started to use monoprint, and I began to work with it and creating, and here was my first experiments with them. I used just normal black colour with white paper, and I identified the bits that I like. I really liked the cracked sort of look it sort of gets, but you also catch lines within the work, and you can press in certain areas so that the ink comes out a bit more harder. Like you can see here, it's thick, whereas on this part it wasn't obviously pressed as hard and the ink hadn't touched the paper. Moving on with my experiments, I straight away started using different colours. Here's grey and yellow, but I was messing around just with the roller, scratching away the ink, like moving it, and here you can see where it built up a bit thicker, and I like the structure that it created and the lines. It's quite effective. Here again, here's a different way I'd used the roller and had it create a different effect. I like the swoop of the lines. I think it's a very nice effect, and it's quite interesting as well. Here, pressing down and predominantly making the ink come out thicker and more visually there, whereas this, you can see that the yellow only creeps in. It's not as thick as on this experiment. I wanted to put all of the experiments I had done into a collage, and here was what was created. I really liked what was created here. The construction of all the different lines and how it's very abstract. It doesn't go, but something makes it look attractive and makes it. It seems to work together. The different lines and the pressing and the scratch marks and the thickness of different areas. So I wanted to carry on using the print as a way of creating a whole piece, but after the collage I continued onto this, and this was just work that I'd pressed down, but it hadn't come out properly. I'm not sure what the reasons was, but I liked it, and I thought it was very simple, so I combined it with some black card and sort of created this piece. Although I want my work to become more to do with this print instead of what goes on around it. I want the focal point to be on the print, whereas this, you kind of, it's just one whole. Moving on, adding to the work, started experimenting, and here's some more of the work that didn't come out, and you can see scratch lines. I like it, but it's there's not enough. It's interesting, it could go well within a collage of the prints. However, here's one that I smudged away the ink with tissue. I've wiped it away and created an effect and lines and it scratches, and I think this is really interesting and would work well if you used to cut it up and create an abstract piece out of it. I like the ink because you can you can manipulate it in how you want. Like here, I wipe it away with tissue. Before I was scratching it away with the roller itself, and wanted to experiment and see how else I can create images and pieces with the ink. And here's some more where I was pressing down in certain areas and it became thicker than the other areas, and I quite like the effect that it's not thick and bold, but you can tell the difference in areas. And with this one, I've got tissue that I'd wiped up the ink away with and just twisted it onto the page, and it created this really nice, I really like this effect. I think it's very interesting as well, and it could go well with images as a background on Photoshop. If you was to take both of them and turn it into more of a digital thing. And here's some more. I went back to using the colours of yellow and grey, but I wanted to combine what I'd been learning about the ink and how to use the ink within the work. Here I was pressing down in certain areas, and areas that wasn't pressing down didn't pick up the ink as much. Pressing down here, thicker here, because I'd pressed down more. Here I'd wiped away the ink with tissue, and you have this circular motion going through work. And then it goes into a normal way, it's just been pressed. And here, I really like the way this has come out actually. It's very structured and would work really nicely in a collage. Here's some more prints, experimental prints. The colour is purposely more thicker and darker in this. I wanted to see how much ink needs to be applied and how hard to press down for it to come out thick. And I've discovered that it doesn't always come out thick. I don't know why. You can press down as much as you want. Maybe it's the roller. Maybe using the roller. Maybe if I use my hands it'll be slightly different. But there's gaps of where the white has come through from the paper. Once I'd done this, I wanted to look at an artist that I had known about, who does collages, who combines photography and art together. His name's Robert Rauschenberg. And as I was looking, I was continuing to create more collages of my print work together. Looking at his, it's very abstract as well, and it's done in blocks. So I took the idea of blocks and cut shapes of each thing to create it more abstract and applying them all over so it doesn't go together. Here I've done diagonal ones. However, I don't like diagonal ones. I think that if I was to keep it straight within a line, it would become more interesting, because this is kind of expected as sort of creating a shape. Carrying on from that, I began to work with other colours and experimenting with the ink with other colours. Here's white on black. Now the white doesn't come out as bright as I thought it would. It comes out quite greyish, but I was experimenting with the different techniques of pressing down in certain areas, trying to create a structure within the work. Pressing down here. Moving on, I began to add structure within my work. As you can see here, I had made purpose lines and zigzags, and here I swished it around and used the roller as the main tool to create this. I really like the rings that it sort of creates. It's a nice effect, and something I want to bring into the collages, especially with works like here. You could create rings and it would come into the work, and I think it would be really nice for a collage. Bringing blue colour with the structure again. I really like this sort of lines within the line. It sort of looks layered, but it's not. It's just the way it has been structured. Here's some more work, experimenting with not filling the whole page with ink and just allowing the ink to be on one page and sort of easing into nothing, creating more free space to do something else with. I could possibly combine images along here similar to what Robert Rauschenberg has done. And here again, there's a sort of different collage of just combining two different prints, but not making the whole page full of prints. Here's a collage of the black and white with the colours I've been using before. And here you can see the lines and how I've decided to keep it very straight. The lines here and the swirls. I want them to be the main feature within the print. I want to push that more into a print creating line there. Here again. And again here. I really like this and I want to develop this, but I want to experiment with other medias first. Possibly looking at other inks. I think working with different inks is really good. This is printing ink, so I might go into working with a more soluble ink, one that's more water based, such as pen ink, Indian black ink, or something that I can have a variety of colours with and work with.